The sun was a molten gold coin in the sky over the village of Udongo, and the air thrummed with the joyous rhythm of drums. Garlands of vibrant orange and purple blossoms adorned the palm trees, and the rich, smoky scent of roasted plantains and spiced goat meat promised a feast. At the heart of the celebration was Adana, her heart swelling with a happiness so profound it felt like a physical warmth in her chest. "Today, my daughter marries a good man, and I didn't even have to threaten him with my cooking pot," her mother, Mama Neka, joked, dancing with a gourd of palm wine balanced precariously on her head, tears of joy glistening on her cheeks. Adana was a vision. She was draped in a traditional iro and buba of brilliant white lace, intricate golden threads catching the light. Her hair was braided into a magnificent crown, and strings of coral and amber beads around her neck proclaimed her a queen on her wedding day. Her groom, Chijioke, stood tall and proud beside her, his broad shoulders filling out a deep indigo agbada embroidered with silver. "Are you ready?" her best friend, Ifeoma, whispered, adjusting the final fold of Adana's attire. "I have 1,000 butterflies dancing in my stomach," Adana confessed with a nervous laugh. "Then it is true love, my friend. Let's get you married before he realizes what he's getting into," Ifeoma teased. The ceremony was a beautiful tapestry of ancient vows and shared laughter. Elders offered blessings that spoke of strong roots and many branches. Children showered the couple with fragrant petals. When Chijioke took her hands, his calloused palms gentle against her skin, Adana felt her heart might burst. "Do you promise to love me even when I am old and my skin is like wrinkled parchment?" she whispered, a playful glint in her eye. "I promise to love you even if you turn into a yam with a sassy tongue," he shot back, his deep voice rumbling with affection, making the gathered crowd erupt in laughter. The celebration lasted long into the night, a whirl of dancing, storytelling, and shared joy. Even the village's stubborn old goat, Obi, seemed to approve, bleating and weaving between the dancers' legs. Happiness was not just in the air, it was the very air they breathed. 2 years later, the sound that filled their small hut was different. It was the sharp, healthy cry of a newborn. But unlike every other birth in Udongo, this one was met with a stunned, suffocating silence. Adana, exhausted and elated, looked down at the tiny life in her arms. Her smile faltered, then vanished completely. Her breath caught in her throat. The baby was pale. His skin was the color of milkweed floss, and a fine down of white blonde hair covered his head. His eyes, when they fluttered open, were a startling, watery blue. "Congratulations, Adana," the midwife, Imani, said, her voice hesitant, laced with confusion. "He is strong, but very light, isn't he?" Chijioke burst into the room then, his face split in a wide, eager grin. "Let me see my son. Let me see the strong hunter." His steps faltered. His smile died. He stared, his expression shifting from joy to confusion, then to a dawning, cold horror. "Adana," he said, his voice low and strained. "What is this? What is this joke?" "He is our son, Chijioke." "Ours," she pleaded, her voice trembling. "Look at him, he has your nose, your stubborn chin. He looks more like the moon than me." Chijioke exploded, recoiling. "Do not lie to me, woman. Are you going to tell me a colonial ghost visited you in the night? You, who I have trusted with my whole life. You know me," she cried, tears beginning to stream down her face, mingling with the sweat of labor. "I would never betray you. My heart has been yours since we were children stealing mangoes from old man Femi's tree." Chijioke said nothing. He simply sat on a low stool, his head in his hands, as the baby cried and his wife wept. Their happiest moment had curdled into a sea of bitter doubt. In the days that followed, the village of Udongo did not whisper, it roared. The impossible could not be ignored, a milk-white baby with light eyes in the arms of a dark-skinned woman. Have you seen it? Is it a miracle or a curse? They say a white trader met her near the river crossing. If it were me, I would have done a blood test using the sap of the truth tree. Chijiok began coming home late. He wouldn't touch the baby. When Adana, her voice raw with emotion, said, "He has your spirit, Chijiok. Won't you hold your son?" he replied, "I do not yet know if he is my son, Adana." Her world shattered. She cried every night as she rocked the mysterious child. "My son," she whispered to his sleeping form, "I do not know how to explain you to the world, but I know I love you. Even if the whole world turns its back, I will never abandon you." Even Mama Neka went to speak with Chijiok. "Do you truly believe my daughter's heart is so false? Do you think the woman we raised could live such a lie?" "I don't know, Mama Neka," he said, his voice thick with anguish. "I love her, but this child, it is a ghost in my house, a reminder that perhaps I am not enough." "And do you know what enough is?" the old woman retorted sharply. "It is having the courage to look a child in the eye and be a father, even when the whole world points and mocks. That is being a man." But her wisdom could not pierce the shell of Chijiok's distrust. A week later, in the village square, he held the baby for the first time. All eyes were upon him. "Yes, I am trying," he whispered to the infant. "Even if you fell from the sky, I will try to be your father." The baby gurgled, a toothless smile spreading across his face. "You laugh at my drama? You have your mother's spirit already." Adana watched from a distance, a fragile hope blooming in her chest. But the love that was once an unbreakable tree was now fragile as a bird's egg. Trust had vanished, along with the wedding drums. Adana knew, deep in her soul, that this child, white as river foam, would forever alter the course of her destiny. The years that followed were a slow erosion of her spirit. With tired eyes and weary hands, Adana still managed to smile for her second child, another boy, born with the same pale skin, rosy cheeks, and light eyes. The silence in the hut was heavier than the infant's cry. Chijiok stood at the door, his arms crossed like a barricade. "Another one, Adana," he said, his voice hollow. "He is our son, just like the first. I swear to you, I have never." "Don't," he cut her off, turning on his heel. The door slammed shut behind him. The village gossip was now a constant, cruel soundtrack to her life. She heard it at the well, in the market, muttered behind hands as she passed. The third child, a difficult birth that left her weak, was also pale. The midwife's silence this time was different, a silence of grim expectation. Chijiok returned the next day, gathered a sack of clothes and some dried fish, and left. "There is food for a week. After that, fend for yourself. You won't even look at your daughter?" Adana asked, her strength fading. "For what? To see another pale ghost? I know what I will see." He slept away from home more often, claiming fishing trips or helping his brother. When he was home, he moved through the hut as if it were contaminated. Their firstborn, Jabari, now 5, tried to hug his legs one day. Chijiok sidestepped him. "You are dirty. Go wash." "But I drew a picture for you, Papa," the boy said, his small face falling. Adana said nothing. She simply took the drawing, a shaky sun over a stick-figure family, and tucked it away, a precious artifact of a love that no longer was. The fourth child arrived after a night of desperate, lonely passion when Chijiok had come home drunk. 9 months later, another white baby was born. This time, the midwife just shook her head. "Another one. My daughter, your womb holds a deep mystery." Chijiok did not come. A neighbor brought a bowl of soup and news, "He has gone to the city. They say he is with a woman there." When the 5th child came, Adana was alone. She cried out, and her 7-year-old daughter ran for help. The birth was quick, the result the same. Adana didn't cry. She closed her eyes and whispered, "Great Spirit, give me strength. I have nothing left." The next day, Chijiok appeared. 5. "Yes," Adana said, her voice a flat echo. And you still expect me to believe this? She simply nodded, too drained for words she knew were useless. He looked at the children, Jabari drawing, another chewing on a crust of bread, the baby sleeping. You have made me the biggest fool in Udongo. I have never been unfaithful, she stated, the words a familiar, worn-out prayer. Then explain this to me, he roared, kicking a stool across the room before storming out, forever. That night, Adana collapsed. She lay on the floor, her children sleeping around her, and wept silent, gut-wrenching sobs so as not to wake them. The next morning, she wrapped her lapa tightly around her body, took her buckets, and went out to find food. The sun was merciless, but her will was fiercer. Every grain of millet, every coin, now depended on her alone. In Udongo, she was a ghost. People spat near her feet. Her children were called the White Spirits, and other mothers pulled their children away. Mama, Jabari asked one day, his blue eyes wide with confusion, why does everyone look at us like we are bad? She gathered them all in her arms. Because you are special, my darlings. And the world is often afraid of what it does not understand. She didn't know what the future held. But with 5 children clinging to her skirts and a heart in fragments, she knew one thing with absolute certainty, she would never abandon them. If the world wanted to cast her out, let it try. She would fight with the only weapons she had left, a mother's love and a will of iron. Expulsion. Adana woke with the dawn sun already burning her skin, though the chill of the desert night still clung to her bones. She and her 5 children lay curled together under thin, torn cloths in a makeshift lean-to cobbled together from branches and an old tarpaulin, pitched just beyond the village boundary. They had been living in this limbo for weeks since Chijioke's final departure. Everything had unraveled. Udongo wanted no reminder of the scandal. They didn't want to see the 5 pale children walking its dusty streets, smiling with an innocence that seemed to mock their own prejudice. The worst of it was watching Adana, once admired for her grace and strength, now move with a permanently bowed head, her eyes sunken with exhaustion, trying to maintain a shred of dignity while begging for work or scraps. Mama, little Musa whispered, his face pale and smudged with dirt. Is there porridge today? She knelt, stroking his fine, wheat-colored hair. Perhaps Auntie Zainab has some maize. We will ask later. But she knew Auntie Zainab had already shut her door in their faces days ago. I cannot feed children of shame, the woman had said, her voice cold as stone. Neighbors who once offered cool water now offered only stares of cold disapproval. The children grew thinner, their cheeks hollow, their eyes losing their light. Adana did the impossible, she swept yards, carried water for miles, mended clothes with thread she unraveled from her own hem, all for a handful of flour or a few bruised vegetables. The village's murmurs were no longer whispers, they were open, angry declarations. That woman is still here, one man declared at the daily market. I tell you, it is witchcraft. No man of our blood sires 5 white children, shouted another. She brings a curse on us all. Even the rains have failed since this began, an old woman wailed. Finally, it happened. On a sweltering Tuesday morning, the meeting drum sounded, a deep, ominous rhythm that spoke of judgment, not celebration. Adana felt it in her chest, a cold dread. She knew. She put on her least faded dress, gathered her children, and walked to the central square with a courage she did not feel. The entire village was there. The elders sat on their stools of authority. The new, firebrand spiritual leader stood with his arms crossed. And Chijioke was there, standing beside his new, dark-skinned wife from the city, her eyes gleaming with venomous triumph. The eldest elder, Mzi Aching, rose, holding the staff of justice. People of Udongo. We gather today because a shadow lies among us. A woman and 5 children who do not carry the mark of our people. This has brought fear, shame, and a blight upon our land. The crowd roared its agreement. We want peace, someone yelled. No more shame, cried another. Adana stepped forward, her voice clear but trembling. I am a daughter of this soil. I have never betrayed my husband or my people. These are my children, flesh of my flesh, blood of my blood. But Mzi Aching's eyes were flinty. We have given you time. We have given you chances. The village has decided. You must leave. You are no longer welcome in Udongo. You must be gone before the sun sets today. Please, she begged, falling to her knees. They are children. They are innocent. They will starve. I have nowhere to go. Her children began to cry, clinging to her skirts. No one moved. No one spoke in their defense. This is not right, a young man named Tun shouted from the back, but he was quickly silenced by the glares of his elders. Adana rose. She looked at each face, those who had danced at her wedding, those who had held her firstborn and called him unique. Her gaze finally settled on Chijiok, who refused to meet her eyes. You will regret this, she said, her voice low but carrying across the square. Not for turning me out, but for rejecting 5 lives that have never wished you anything but love. With her meager possessions, a basket of patched clothes, an old cooking pot, a small sack of dry grain, she left. Her children, holding each other's hands, followed her like a line of ducklings. One of them, Yara, stumbled on a stone, raising a cloud of red dust. Adana lifted her into her arms without breaking stride. The village watched the sad procession until it was nothing but a shimmering mirage on the horizon. No one offered water. No one said a word of kindness. A new dawn. Night fell, and they were still walking, following a road they hoped led to somewhere. One child began to cough. Another mumbled about seeing stars with his eyes open. Adana's legs were leaden, her spirit on the verge of breaking. She leaned against an acacia tree, gathered all 5 children close, and began to sing a lullaby her grandmother had sung, her voice weak and off-key but filled with a desperate faith. Then, lights. The hum of an engine. A sleek, black SUV, alien on the dusty road, slowed to a stop beside them. The door opened, and a tall man in an impeccably tailored linen suit stepped out, his expression one of profound shock and concern. Madam? Good heavens, are you all right? What are you doing out here alone with these children? Adana tried to answer, but the world swam before her eyes. Her knees buckled. The children cried out in fear. The man moved quickly. He caught her, his grip firm and sure. He took off his jacket and draped it over her shoulders. Pulling out a satellite phone, he spoke with calm authority. Samuel, prepare the guest suites. Immediately. I'm bringing 6 people. Malnourished, dehydrated. We need baths, hot food, and a doctor. Urgently. He looked down at the children. The eldest, Jabari, managed a weak, trusting smile. The man's stern face softened. It's all right, little one, he said, his voice gentle. You're safe now. The storm is over. Sanctuary. When Adana awoke, it was to the smell of lemongrass and antiseptic, and the feel of clean, crisp cotton against her skin. She was in a vast, soft bed. Sunlight streamed through large windows overlooking a lush garden. Her children were asleep in smaller beds beside hers, clean, wearing fresh cotton pajamas, their faces peaceful for the first time in memory. A woman in a nurse's uniform smiled. You're awake. Good. The door opened, and the man from the road entered. He looked different indoors, less like a mirage and more like a real person, though no less imposing. He had kind, intelligent eyes. Easy now, he said, his voice a low, calming rumble. You're in my home. You and your children are safe. They've been fed and seen by a doctor. They were just exhausted. I don't even know your name, Adana whispered, her throat dry. I am Malik Adeyemi, he said. And you are Adana. Welcome. Your story, it moved me. You are not alone anymore. She covered her face with her hands and wept, deep, heaving sobs of relief that shook her entire body. The days that followed were a blur of quiet recovery. The children blossomed with regular meals, vitamins, and the security of safety. They received new clothes and toys. Adana was examined, fed nourishing food, and allowed to rest. Malik's mansion was a world of impossible luxury. A library filled with books, a grand piano, gardens that seemed to go on forever. "I don't know how to thank you, Mr. Adeyemi," she said one day, folding laundry with a maid. "I can never repay you." "Adana," he said gently, "not every act of kindness requires repayment. Sometimes, helping is simply what makes us human." She smiled, a real, genuine smile that felt strange on her face. But the peace was fragile. One afternoon, a silver sports car screeched to a halt on the gravel driveway. Malik's face tightened. "She's back," he muttered. The door slammed. A stunningly beautiful woman emerged, her designer clothes and sharp heels a stark contrast to the serene surroundings. Her eyes swept over the scene, landing on Adana and a child playing with a ball on the lawn. "Malik. What is the meaning of this? A nursery in my house?" "Neka, let me explain. 5 white children, Malik. In my sheets, my bathrooms. Have you lost your mind? They were starving on the roadside. She is a mother, cast out by her village. Would you have me leave them to die? This is not a shelter. It is our home. And those children, they don't even look African. Are you trying to tell me they are ours?" Hearing the venom, Adana rushed to gather her children. "Ma'am, please, we will leave at once. I do not wish to cause trouble." "Then go," the woman, Neka, snapped. "Enough." Malik's voice cracked like a whip, filled with the anger Adana hadn't heard before. "This woman has more strength in her little finger than you have in your entire body. They stay." Neka stared at him, then at Adana, then at the children. She picked up her purse. "I am going back to the city. When you decide to turn this place into a hotel for strays, let me know." She got in her car and sped away. Malik exhaled deeply, running a hand over his face. "I am so sorry, Adana. That was unforgivable." "No," she said, sitting on a sofa, holding her youngest. "I am the one who is sorry. I have brought chaos into your life." "You have brought life," he corrected her. "You have brought truth. Do not ever apologize for that." The mansion grew quieter but also more vibrant. The children's laughter echoed in the halls. Adana found purpose, helping in the kitchen, organizing the library, tending a small vegetable patch. Malik began working from home more, his stern businessman's demeanor melting away as he played with the children, learning each of their names and personalities. "You're becoming a father to them, you know," Adana said one evening, watching him help Jabari with his reading. "They need one," he replied simply. "And I am here." The unspoken words hung between them, warm and full of promise. The revelation. One afternoon, during a routine checkup at a private clinic Malik supported, the answer finally came. The doctor, a renowned geneticist from the capital, sat them down. "Mrs. Adana, what we have found is quite extraordinary," he began, pointing to a chart. "You possess a very rare recessive gene, a specific mutation linked to a form of albinism that results in this particular presentation of very light skin and hair. When combined with a partner who also carries a recessive gene, which, given the village's history and isolated gene pool, is statistically possible, the likelihood of having a child with this appearance is significantly high. There is no mystery. No infidelity. It is simply science." Adana stared, the weight of 5 years of anguish lifting from her shoulders so suddenly she felt dizzy. She laughed, a sound of pure, unadulterated relief, but it quickly turned into tears. If only they had known. If only he had known. Malik took her hand. Then you would never have been on that road. And I would never have found you. Armed with the official medical report, Malik made a decision. We are going back, he told her. They need to hear the truth. They need to learn to ask for forgiveness. The return to Udongo was surreal. Their arrival in Malik's luxury car caused a stir. People stopped to stare at the well-dressed children, at Adana, who held herself with a newfound grace, and at the powerful man by her side. In the central square, the elders assembled. Chijioke was there, older, wearier, his eyes downcast. Malik presented the report, his voice firm and clear, explaining the genetics in simple terms. These children are not a curse or a sin. They are the blood of this land, born of this woman you cast out in your ignorance. An elder stood, tears in his eyes. Adana, we were wrong. Forgive us. Chijioke stepped forward, his voice broken. I did not know. My pride, my anger. I lost everything. I lost you. I lost my children. I do not deserve forgiveness, but I am sorry. Adana looked at him, then at Malik, then at her beautiful, resilient children. I forgave you a long time ago, Chijioke. Holding on to hate would have only poisoned my own heart. But my life, my family, is with Malik now. Time, the great healer, wove new patterns into the tapestry of Adana's life. The woman once rejected by her village now reaped the harvest of her endurance. Her home with Malik was a fortress of love. Their children flourished. Jabari, empowered by the truth of his origin, returned to Udongo not with anger, but with a desire to help. His innate leadership and wisdom, honed under Malik's guidance, eventually led the village council to name him their new chief, a stunning reversal of fate that brought the community full circle. The other children found their paths, one a musician, another a healer, another an artist. And the daughter she and Malik had together, a beautiful girl with skin the color of rich soil, was living proof that her story had come full circle. Years later, during a harvest festival, Udongo unveiled the Adana Plaza of Hope. In its center stood a statue, a woman with her head held high, holding a light-skinned child in one arm and a dark-skinned child in the other. The inscription read, "Here stands the love that endured, teaching a people that difference is not a curse, but the Creator's most beautiful design." Surrounded by her husband, her children, and her grandchildren, Adana finally felt the deep, abiding peace she had fought so hard for. She was no longer just a mother or a wife. She was a living testament to resilience, a symbol of a faith that could not be stained by prejudice, and a love that, in the end, had truly conquered all.